Hello, Lovelace. Welcome to today's maths lesson, which continues our addition of fractions, but this time we're looking at mixed numbers. Now, just a reminder, a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction combined. So our answers are going to be a lot bigger than 1 today. Okay, now you've really impressed me so far. But just a reminder, when you're doing your work, please make sure you're showing your working so I can see your understanding. Answers only gives me nothing to go on, gives me no clues as to whether you understand the methods and the strategies we're looking at. So if you can show some working out, that would be great. Thank you. Now, I suppose our little warm up for today, but a little different. We've not got our 3 or 4 questions. This time, I'm going to ask you to match the descriptions of these fractions. Okay, so we've got a third, 9/2, 2 8/3, 4/7, and 7 2/5. And they match some of the statements below. Now, there is more than one answer for each of these fractions. Okay, but it's just testing whether we can remember the language that we've talked about throughout our fraction topic. So we've got non-unit fractions and unit fractions. We've got improper fractions and proper fractions. We've got less than 1 and greater than 1. And we've got mixed numbers. And then we've got incorrectly written. So fractions that shouldn't be written the way they are. Okay, so just take a minute and see if you can match up each of those fractions to at least 2 statements. Okay. Right, let's have a look. First of all, a third. Okay. Now, straight away, we should remember that's a unit fraction. Any fraction with a 1 as its numerator is a unit fraction. Okay. It's a singular version of one example of a third. Okay. It's also a proper fraction. It's a proper fraction because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. And finally, for this one, it is less than 1. 1/3 is less than a whole. Okay. Hopefully you got all 3 of those. What about 9/2? Well, it's an improper fraction because the numerator is the bigger number. It's a non-unit fraction because it doesn't have 1 as its numerator. And it's greater than 1. It's an improper fraction, which means it's bigger than 1. Now, what about 2 8/3? Well, it's greater than 1. We've got a whole number there, so it's bigger than 1. And it's incorrectly written. We can't have a whole number and an improper fraction because what we've created here means that we've got more wholes. 3 will go into 8 2 times. So we've got 2 more wholes to add onto there. So it should say 4 2/3. That would be the correct way to write that particular fraction. What about 4/7? Well, 4/7 is less than 1. 7/7 or bigger would be 1 or bigger. So 4/7 is less than 1. It's a proper fraction because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. And it's a non-unit fraction because the numerator is not 1. Okay. And finally, 7 2/5. Well, it's greater than 1. We've got 7 wholes there, so it's definitely greater than 1. And it's a mixed number. We've got a whole number and a fraction. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at an addition. We've got 2 1/5 plus 3 3/5. Now, our first method is going to be to convert both these mixed numbers to improper fractions. Now, I'm going to show you 2 methods, and ultimately you're going to choose which you prefer. I certainly know which I prefer, but that's going to be down to you. So I'm going to show you 2 methods, watch both carefully, and then see which you're happier with. Okay, so our first one is going to convert both mixed numbers to improper fractions. So we've got 2 1/5, we've got 3 3/5. So I'm just going to show you as a bar model, first of all. So there's our 2 1/5. You see 2 whole ones, 2 whole rows, and then 1/5. And that's the same as saying 2 lots of 5/5. Remember, 5/5 is a whole one. So 2 lots of a whole one plus 1 more fifth. So that gives us 11/5. Okay, so 2 1/5 is the same as 11/5. Now here's our 3 3/5. So you can see we've got 3 complete rows and then 3 individual fifths there. And it's the same as saying 3 lots of 5/5 because 5/5 is a whole one. So we've got 3 lots of a whole one plus 3/5, which is 15 plus the 3, 18/5. Okay, so our 2 1/5 is the same as 11/5. Our 3 3/5 is the same as 18/5. If we add them all together, we're going to get 29/5. Okay, and we can convert that back into a mixed number by saying how many 5s in 29? Well, there are 5 of them, so we've got 5 wholes, but there's a remainder of 4, so that will be our numerator. Okay, so 29 over 5 is the same as 5 and 4/5. So that's method 1, turning both mixed numbers into improper fractions. Same question, but this time we're going to add the whole numbers and fractions separately. So we're going to deal with these as 2 separate numbers, a 2 and a 5th, a 3 and a 3/5. Okay, let's see what we think about this one. So there's our 2 and a 5th, and there's our 3 and 3/5. But this time we're going to put all the wholes together and put the fractions together. So there's all our wholes. These are a little bit wonky, but they're all together. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wholes. 2 and 3 is 5. So that's dealt with the wholes. And now we've got the 1/5 and the 3/5, which all together give us 4/5. Okay, so 5 and 4/5. And there's our answer. Okay, so 2 separate methods. One converts the whole thing into improper fractions and then does the addition. Second option is you deal with the whole numbers first, and then you deal with the fractions. So there they are. This method turned our 2 and 1/5 into 11/5, our 3 and 3/5 into 18/5, added it all together. This one just dealt with the whole numbers and the fractions separately. Have a think. Which method do you prefer and why? Right. Here's another one for us. This time, our denominators are different. Really important that we spot that because it does affect how we're going to go about this. So we've got our 3 and 1/4 and we've got 4 and 5/12. Well, I'm going to group all the wholes together. Okay, so we've got our 3 wholes and our 4 wholes together. So there's 7 wholes. So we've got 7, and then we've got the fractions to deal with. We've got 1/4 and we've got 5/12. Now I'm going to turn my quarters into 12ths. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3. And you can see on the bar model how by splitting each section into 3, we've created our 12ths. So I've got 3/12 and 5/12. So altogether, that gives me 8/12. That's the fraction part. The whole number part, we had 7. So altogether, 7 and 8/12. Now, some of you will be looking at the 8/12 and you'll realize I can actually simplify that. I can divide top and bottom by 4, and that will give me 7 and 2/3. Okay. But 7 and 8/12 is perfectly okay at the moment. So we've grouped our whole numbers and then we've dealt with our fractions separately, remembering to bring everything together at the end. Okay, time for you to have a go. Now, the first question simply asks you which one you prefer. Now, I would be interested if you could jot down the why. If there's someone to talk to, then explain to them why you prefer either Teddy or Mo's version. But this is, a very, very quick question. Just which, we've already talked about it really. So which of those methods do you prefer? Do you prefer dealing with the whole numbers first and then dealing with the fractions? Or do you prefer creating improper fractions? Up to you. Then question 2, actually having a go at it. So making use of your favorite method. Or if you want to, you could try both methods. And by the end of the exercise, you might have worked out which one you prefer. Entirely up to you. Okay, but pause the video, have a go at question 2. Right. Nothing written down for for number 1 because that was your opinion. It's your choice. So here are the answers for question 2. A, 3 and 7/10. B, 4 and 7/10. C, 4 and 9/10. E, 6 and 15/16. Oh, I'm going to say I've just realized everything's laid out a bit wonky there. I do apologize. We've gone A, B, C, and then we've gone down to D. Sorry about that. It's the way I've cut and pasted that page. So just make sure you're paying attention to the letters. So A, 3 and 7/10. B, 4 and 7/10. C, 4 and 9/10. D is 5 and 15/16. E is 16 and 6 and 15/16. And F is 4 and 14/15. Sorry, that's a bit jumbled, but I'm sure you can find all the answers you need. Right, a couple more for you. So question 3, Ron has written out his calculation. He's got 2 and 3/5 plus 1 and 7/10, and he's got an answer of 3 and 13, 3 plus 13 over 10, which is 3 and 13/10. How can he improve that answer? You should be looking at the answer thinking, ugh, that's a bit horrible. So how can he improve that 3 and 13/10? And then 4, have a go at those additions, a bit more practice. Okay, pause the video, have a go. Write your answers. Now, 3 and 13/10 is an incorrect way of writing a fraction because we've got a whole number and an improper fraction together. So we need to turn this improper fraction into a mixed number and then add it to the 3. So 13 over 10 is the same as 1 and 3/10. So we can add the 1 to the 3, giving us 4 and 3/10. Okay, so that's just a very ugly way of writing it. And then for 4, A, 6 and 1/6, you might have 6 and 2/12. B, 6 and 1/4, you might have 6 and 3/12. C is 9 and 1/12, and D is 10 and 1/15. Well done if you've got those. Right, just a little extra. We've got a rectangle here, and in this rectangle, each longer side is 1 and 4/5 of a meter longer than each shorter side. What's the perimeter of the rectangle? Okay, so a little bit of problem solving here. If you've understood everything we've done so far, then I am more than happy. You're doing a great job. This is a little bit of a challenge. So we know that to find a perimeter of a rectangle, we need to know the length of all the sides. We know that this short side is 2 meters, so 2 and 1/15 of a meter, which means the other end is 2 and 1/15 of a meter. We also know that the longer sides are 1 and 4/5 of a meter longer than the short sides. So the long side is 2 and 1/15 plus 1 and 4/5. Okay? Which if we can convert that 4/5 into 15ths, gives us 1 and 12/15. Add those together, we're going to have 3 whole ones, and we're going to have 13/15. So 3 and 13/15. Okay? And both long sides will be exactly the same. So we've now got our 4 sides. We've got 2 and 1/15, 3 and 13/15, 2 and 1/15, 3 and 13/15. All we need to do now is add them all together. Okay? And because they're already in 15ths, it's actually reasonably straightforward. We've got 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. So we've got 10 whole ones. And then we've got 1, 2, 15, 28/15ths. Okay. Now you should be looking at that thinking, big ugly improper fraction with a whole number. We can't have that. So we're going to have to do a little bit of fixing and turn it into 11 and 13/15ths of a meter. Okay. So what looks like a big, horrible, ugly question, actually, if you take step by step, is not too scary. Right. A few little challenges for you just to finish off today. A blue ribbon is 2 meters and 2 and 4/9 of a meter long, and a yellow ribbon is 3 and 2/3 of a meter long. What's the total length of the blue and yellow ribbon? So there's the first question, a nice straightforward addition. B, a red ribbon is 1 5/18 meter long, is meters longer than the yellow ribbon. How long is the red ribbon? Okay, so a little bit of addition will help you work out that one. And then finally, for 6, calculate the perimeter of this triangle. So remember, perimeter is the distance around a shape. Imagine if we had to put a fence around this field, how long would the fence be? So you simply need to add those 3 measurements. Remember, we need a common denominator. Okay, pause the video, have a go. Right, here are your answers. A, total length of blue and yellow. So we're adding together 2 4/9, 3 2/3. We should have got 6 1/9. And for B, the red ribbon is 1 5/18 meter longer than the yellow. So you take your yellow distance, 3 2/3, and add 1 5/18. And altogether, you should get 4 17/18. And then finally, question 6, if you add together those 3 measurements, you are going to get 18 9/14 centimeter. Okay, well done today, guys. There's some tricky calculations there, but you worked really, really well. It'll be great to see you work on tapestry together with some working. But for now, that's the end of today. Take care of yourselves, look after those around you, and stay safe. I'll see you soon.